Welcome to the shows, guys. We've got some incredible stocks to go over. We have so many rocket ships right now in the market. We've got some stocks that we loaded up on NVIDIA, TTD, AMD. We've got a penny stock I'm going to share with you guys that absolutely exploded today. I'm going to bring on a special guest. We're going to have a little bit of an interview there about how to pick the right penny stocks, and that can be a game changer for some people. And this particular play was a game changer. We're going to go over that here in just a minute. Let me go ahead. Now, my guest doesn't show his face, and so we're just going to have my face on the screen with the chart. But I want to go ahead and bring on somebody who's never been on my show before. This is I got a couple. Let me break this down and get this lined up real quick. This guy, I call him the penny broker. I call him the micro cap marauder. I call him the dime flipper, the ticker bandit, Mr. Sub Dollar, AKA Stock Brotha. Let's pull up the chart that he was able to clear today, a $52,000 win, and we got to just celebrate it. It's why I've done this pop-up live. I was going to talk about NVIDIA today, which does deserve some time and attention. I'm going to possibly wrap up this show after we talk to him for a few minutes on where I think NVIDIA could go over the course of the next couple months. But we had to acknowledge this big play. Let's talk to Mr. Stock Brother. Go ahead. I've got this news article up, me with the news. Let me see if I can switch this. Okay, so the play is IXHL. Mr. Stock Brother, tell me a little bit about this. When did you get in, and tell me what motivated you to get into this play. Let's just hear the breakdown. How you and what exactly did you clear?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Josh, man. I really appreciate it. I got into the play about last month, late last month. I got into the play, and then I alerted the Discord, your Discord people, that I did get into it. And by trade, I am a registered nurse, and that's my passion. But trading stocks is my second passion. Okay, and iConnect's Healthcare, the ticker symbol is IXHL. It's basically a biotech stock, and I'm pretty big on biotechs. I love trading biotechs, and primarily because of catalysts. Okay, that stock pretty much has a catalyst this month. We should be hearing from the company. They're going to be releasing some data. They had a phase 3 trial, and they'll be releasing the data anytime now. Um, and this company, they're developing a drug to treat obstructive sleep disorder, sleep apnea. And there's no drugs for it right now, and the only way to treat it is via a CPAP mask, which is very uncomfortable. It's bulky, and most people just don't wear it. But this is a $20 billion market, I believe. And if this drug does well, I mean, they're going to pretty much corner the market. Okay. So this is going to be, it's a possibility to be a really big thing.
Yeah, well,
So,
let me just comment on that. I have a lot of friends who I've known a lot of people that have had to go on a sleep apnea machine and they hated it. It's not easy. You put yourself in a contraption and you have to learn to breathe differently. And so
yeah.
I could imagine if a solution was found that it would be extremely profitable. So tell me, when did you actually get into it? What price did you get into and how much did you buy?
I got into the stock about the 20 cents range, like 20, 21 cents, 20 cents. And initially I was buying little by little. Well, when I say little by little, I was like buying 50,000 shares at a time. And then I was able to accumulate about 350,000 this month. And then, and today was a big day.
And why were you going in so deep on this particular play?
Again, like I said, um, by trade, what I do, I understand medicine. I understand how it affects people. It affects a lot of people. Um, and I did my due diligence. I always do my due diligence on these plays, and I saw that the company actually did a phase two trial in Australia a couple years ago, and the results were fantastic. So now they're doing a second phase two on a much larger scale, on a global scale. So I looked at that last trial, and I'm like, wow, these are awesome results. I mean, if they can, replicate what they did a couple years ago in Australia, I mean, this is going to be big, you
How
know.
did you find out about this play? What do you use? What type of scanner or catalyst or momentum indicator do you particularly use to find these plays?
I'm not really a chart guy, but I'll go on the scanners and look at biotech stocks. I'll just scan for biotechs, mostly biotech stocks. And if I find something that I like, I read up on the stock. I like to read the filings. I'll go on the website, I'll look up the company. And this company was just, I mean, I really like what they were trying to do with OSA, obstructive sleep apnea.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I do.
Listen, $52,000 in a single day is no small win. You know, I've got disciplines which actually would have prevented me from taking such a large position in a penny stock like this, based on my game plan, my daily game plan. But I really think it's a cool story. And one of the reasons why, Stock Brother, that I've positioned you in my Discord as a crown trader is that you don't do the sort of the Hail Mary type stuff and the unrealistic expectations and telling everybody that's just going to pump forever, the when Lambo now, type thing. You give very conservative take profits for people. We're going to get in, at the right price, as long as it's got a catalyst or a news story. And then I know that a lot of times you're advising people to take profit with a 10% pump. Now, this looks like it was well over 100% pump for you. What motivated you to take profits? What motivated you to hold through the move?
Yeah, like you said, I tell people take profit at 10%. And the reason I tell people that is because penny stocks are very volatile. I mean, you can lose your money like that. Okay, they're very volatile. And I found it that it's safer when you take profits early. Okay, so 10% is safe for the community. For me, I'm a little bit more risky. I'm gonna hold on to it a little bit longer because I did my due diligence on that stock, and I think that they will do well when that data drops. Okay,
How do
so
you avoid how do you avoid being a bag holder in penny stocks? Because most people that I speak to get into something that's under $1 or two, and they get caught, they get trapped, and then they end up holding it, or they keep buying the dip. How do you avoid that with your investments?
it's just about discipline. Not being greedy. And from experience, I can tell you, I mean, in the past, yes, that was my problem. I would make a whole lot of money holding one of these penny stocks and just keep holding on to it, and then all of a sudden lose everything. So I had to develop a discipline, and that discipline was 10% take profit, and that's what I did to build my account up. I would sell at 10% and just keep doing it over and over again. And as I accumulated more and more money, now I was able to take more risks. I felt more comfortable taking more risks because a lot of the money was house money or whatever it was. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. My disciplines is to control position size, and really the more blue chip, large cap stocks I'm willing to put in, 50, 100, 150, 250 $1,000. I'm willing to put big money into large cap, and I've never been willing to put big money into these small caps. But I have to admit that I'm just wowed. I love your presence in the Stocks with Josh Discord, because there are people that might only have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 bucks, and they want to take high risk, but they want to do it with a little bit of guidance. They want help picking, because there's just a massive world of penny stocks to pick from, and a lot of them are just dying slow deaths and eventually get delisted. So they want some help. And I love the fact that you can guide people in that. And I've noticed that you've picked some bangers. This one went on an absolute heater, and it had to be acknowledged. But let me take a quick moment. I looked at the chart, and I just want to comment that it does appear to me like I'm jokingly going to say, I think you sold too soon, my good friend. Um,
Hey, Josh, let me stop you. I actually got back in with house
okay,
money.
okay, okay. I like it. I like it. So you put some money back in to be your runners, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so it seems like this stock really respects the 20 EMA. You can just see that this is where the move has failed in the past. Very, very consistently, it's come up and tagged this 20 EMA. I'm looking at the weekly time frame. So that's I jump around between the different time frames. So I find the moving average and the time frame where I can see a consistent pattern where you get some structure that you're respecting. So it gives you a sense of what might happen. For me, that looks like this thing had an oversold moment. It came down to this 5 cent level. You had this massive towering volume node that overshadows all other previous buying and selling days. Sorry, guys. And then it consolidated after that big move. It wicked back, it consolidated. And the very second it broke the 26-cent zone, that was the breakout moment. And the clear and obvious target for this bad boy is a minimum move 52. So I'm going to track this one with you. It's worth people keeping it on the radar. We had to acknowledge that moment of a huge move like that for you personally, $52,000. What I love about Stock Brother is he is a working professional. He has still working, still trading time, right, for money. And so he can't just be in the market all day long. That's, at this point, he's balancing the two. And I'm curious, Stock Brother, you and I have chatted on a personal level many times. And I always encourage you to go full time into what you're doing. When do you take that step? How much money do you have to make before you're like, hey, wait a minute, I think I could do this all day, every day?
My wife is a big obstacle. Yeah, but I love what I do, Josh. I love what I do. Nursing is a passion of mine, and I love helping people. And so I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah,
You know.
well, I love that. I wanted to acknowledge Eli Lilly is also targeting this area with a drug treatment for sleep apnea. I was listening to CNBC today, putting fresh eyes onto Eli Lilly, which is going to be I think it's going to continue to be a winner. Eli Lilly's pulled back after it got really, really hot up to $1,000, and now it's back in the $800 range, I believe. And after listening to them talk about how Eli Lilly was attempting to work with sleep apnea, I thought, you know what? That's a huge opportunity. I need to start looking more at some swing trades for Eli Lilly. So I think it's fascinating that you found this micro small cap that's having this big move right now. And it makes sense, especially if people are looking at this solution. And I love the fact that you're actually in healthcare. And this is such a beautiful story. You're in healthcare, right? And you're serving people in healthcare, but you're actually also making money in investing and trading in healthcare. I think that's absolutely cool. It lines up with something that my good friend Stock Up with Larry Jones has always said. It's like if you love a product or you love something that you do, go and put some money in that area, become an expert in that area. And that seems to be exactly what you've done, Mr. Stock Brother.
Yes, and shout out to Larry Jones. If I may, Larry, he helped me a lot. I remember having 500 subscribers. I have a YouTube channel. I have 500 subscribers, and Larry would shout me out. This is before I met you, Josh. And Larry would shout me out. And Larry, he's really good with that. He helps out the little YouTubers. He would always do that. Help us out, and he helped grow my subscribership, my membership. And then I ended up meeting you, and that's all she wrote.
I want to shout out his page, guys. You can find him on YouTube as Stock Brother. and he makes videos. I wish he would make more videos, but I've noticed now a lot of small pages take years and years to grow. He must be doing something right. And the guy doesn't even show his face. Okay. He must be doing something right because he has skyrocketed up to, what are you at, 66,000 subscribers?
Yeah, I'm at 66 right now.
Listen,
Yeah.
let me tell you guys, that's not easy. In my personal knowledge of YouTube, you can spend 2 years getting to 1,000 subscribers, and this
Yeah.
man has gotten 66,000. So it means he's doing something right, and people are paying attention. So yes, I think this is actually still a valid play. IXHL. I think it looks like it's got room to a minimum of 52 cents. But if it were to break above and consolidate above 52 cents, then the target becomes 90 cents to $1, which is just a psychological level that this could easily return to. Even
Yeah.
$2.30 is possible. Now, I haven't spent a ton of time on this chart, just a little bit after Reggie shared with me the game plan for today and what he had accomplished, and so I wanted to give you guys my input on this chart. Well done, sir. I'm very proud of what you bring to the Stocks with Josh Discord. If you guys don't know what that is, that's my pro trading community. You can find me. I've got men like Stock Brotha in here, as well as folks doing crypto, as well as long-term investing and long-term swing trading and daily alerts and my daily trade setups. You can find it all there in the Stocks with Josh Discord. I'll leave a link in the top pinned comment. And Stock Brother's link for his YouTube page is also in the description of this video, and later I'll put it in a top pinned comment. Thank you, sir, for joining me today. I appreciate you being in here, and I'm going to go over a few more stocks with these guys, but I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks for having me, and thank you for the support. I really appreciate it, and you helped me a lot. And I don't know how to repay you, Josh.
Well, I don't view it that way. You're a blessing to me. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I'm super excited about this financial windfall for you today. And I know that there's going to be more of it for you and for everybody that's following you. Thank you, brother.
All right, take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so let's just take a brief moment because we've got another play that has to be acknowledged today. This isn't a small cap banger, but this is TTD, the trade desk. This is one, and I even said it in my video, but it takes me time to go back and find the receipts and clip them and play them for you. But if you're a member of this page, then you know that I said to you guys just in this last week when I covered TTD, I said I rarely cover something twice. Guys, pay attention to this because technically this chart is absolutely screaming to me that it's wanting to go up. And then, of course, overnight, the news came out that it was going to be added this Friday to the S&P 500, and that bad boy popped $10. Now, there's been some profit taking, and I'm going to show you that chart, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to recap what I said in that video. I said TTD is getting ready to go on a secular trend. And I even took the time to educate what that meant in the scope of finance. A secular trend is a long-term fundamental move. And I predicted that in this year and in 2026, that we could see it go all the way back up to the top where it had been at around $140. And right now it's sitting under 90, okay? I said, not only could this go all the way up to 140, but really I see this being on a multi-year trend going up to $200. So I believe that they've got the right leadership. I believe they've got the right product. I believe that they are utilizing the right resources like AI to differentiate themselves in the ad business and provide an incredible ROI for people investing. I think as we move forward into any form of a slowdown or a recession, and I'm not calling for a recession, but at some point this market will give us this blow off top, and then we're going to have a period of downward consolidation for some time. I don't know how long, 1 or 2 quarters, maybe just 1 quarter. But in that environment, you're going to see some big tech continue to come down. And that's one of the reasons why I said TTD, the trade desk, which is not about stock exchange. It's about advertisement business. that is going to continue to trend up because people are going to be looking for a higher ROI, a return on investment, and they're going to utilize a company like The Trade Desk. It got way oversold, and I believe that it's demonstrating its ability to increase its profit margins, and it's rebuilding from its lows all the way back up. That's what the video was about. And who else? And did I know that it was going to be possibly added to the S&P 500? No, but that chart was telling me something. And with it being added to the S&P 500, I wanted to highlight what typically happens after a stock gets added. On the announcement of the news, you immediately begin to have all these companies rushing to go buy. You've got ETFs and indexes that track the S&P 500 to varying degrees, and they have to add this now to their portfolio. They have to add it in proportion to the size of their portfolio. So there's a ton of reason why this will go up all throughout this week. And in addition to that, why it would go up after it gets added. So the average increase on a stock once it's been included in the S&P 500, after it's been added, the average increase, let me look that up again. I believe it was, let's see here. Forgive me, guys. So the average increase is 7%. Okay, so it had a $10 pop today, which I believe was right around 14 to 15%. And then it's going to be added this Friday. And the average increase after a stock hits the S&P, so after it's added, is an additional 7%. Now, in addition to all of that, we have their earnings coming up, okay? Now, that is going to be another catalyst because that's actually what caused this to come up off the floor after that huge drop from 140 down to roughly 40. It was a turnaround moment in their last earnings. And now this is going to be a place and time in which the market's going to be looking for a continuation and acceleration of what had been done in the last earnings. We talked about the fact when it was dipping, I literally called this perfectly on a dip. I said, right now is the day to buy. This thing, they're going to begin to run it back up before earnings. And one of the things I said in that video is if it gets to $90 before earnings, I said that's smart money telling you that they're positioning themselves for positive earnings and a potential move to $100, which is my target. And so I want you guys to know I don't have a crystal ball. Oh, Nancy won't lend it to me. I've got to go by the charts. I got to go by the stories. I got to go by the things I've shared with you, such as the typical average increase of a stock that adds to the S&P. But my view right now is $100 on this play, and I'm not thinking of selling any. So for me, this is a buy the dip opportunity. It could not go that way. We could run up to earnings, right? And then there could be a bad earnings event, which would just pull the stock down. I'm not anticipating that. I will have to take some profit the day before earnings. So before the evening, before earnings, I'll have to take some profit, but I'm not going to think of taking any too soon. Let me jump in. I'm going to show you the chart. I'm going to give you a couple comments on it, and I'm going to share one more news story with you guys, and we'll wrap this up. Hey, do me a favor. If you are brand new to this page, hit the like if you've enjoyed this content so far, and then subscribe to make sure you get the alert of the next video. All right, let's pop this up. All right, let's go first to TTD. Now, first thing I want to point out to you guys is the volume range visual profile, and I wanted to point out to you that right here at $74. So the very first time I ever talked about TTD, I was anticipating this was looking good, right? And the previous earnings had been a huge success, and I loved this wall of buying, right? And so I said, guys, we could have a little bit of a dip down into the 60s, but if we can eventually close a weekly candle above 74, it's going to be a rocket ship. And really right there, 2 weeks ago, it did that. And I came out and did another video saying this is an extremely good sign. And since then, we've popped up. Now, I just want to point out that it's natural that this would consolidate because look at this volume that exists here, okay? It's a little bit of something that TTD has to chew its way through, but I want to point out that if it does chew its way through, it initially came up and took the first stab at trying to knock out the top of this resistance. But as soon as it does, and we get a weekly close above $83, you can see that it's thin air above, right? And the only real resistance occurs at $98. And so my opinion is that if the earnings are good, after the inclusion to the S&P 500, giving this a little bit of time to chew through this resistance. To me, the obvious target on this chart is up here at 98. At that point, what would be different and new that I'd be watching out for, I would expect some sort of a pullback and maybe a retest of this 50-day moving average. But after that, I'd be a buyer again to go long to the next level of resistance, which is way up here at 120. Now, I try not to get too excited. We've made big money. I had made hundreds of percentage points on my options when we were well below 74. Okay, so this was an explosive move higher today. And the main point is that it's not coming to an end. This is all accumulation down here. This thing has been weekly accumulating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight weeks in a row. Smart money's been getting in on this. It wouldn't even shock me if we gap up on this, but we'll just take it one step at a time. I want to quickly highlight this breaking news story. The Trump-backed crypto regulation bill failed to clear the key hurdle in Congress. And so the failed vote delivers a major blow to the crypto industry, which was hoping for a series of legislative wins this week, which had been billed as Crypto Week. The final vote was 196 to 223, with 13 Republicans voting with Democrats to block the procedural motion. So but let's just take a quick peek at Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin has been taking a tumble, but it really didn't begin with that bad news. It could be that smart folks knew that there was a slim chance that it was going to be approved. So we do see a little bit of a tumble. In the alts, though, I haven't really noticed that the alts have come back. At the moment, I kind of view this as an opportunity to potentially, I'll be watching the charts for an opportunity to load back up, right? And so, key resistance right now, key support, right, is going to be previous resistance. And the first major area of support moving forward is that 112, which we had been at right before the last breakout. We would need to see a definitive bounce here for us to just have the optimism that this is going higher. If you remember, one of the last things that I said to you about Bitcoin is that if we closed the month of July above 120,000, that would be a sign that we could go all the way up to 174. Now, I know that some folks, they hear different things that I say, and then sometimes they come back and they can misquote those statements to me, right? But I'm pretty clear, and unfortunately, Wall Street is a series of if-thens, okay? Especially when you're a chart reader like me, who's entirely building his case mostly off the technicals. I do care about the fundamentals and the news stories, but largely it's the charts that direct my investment decisions. And the key thing is that Bitcoin has to remain and close above 120K in the month of July for that bullish scenario that I described to come to pass. Now, you ask me, Josh, what's your personal opinion right now? Do you think that the run is over and that this is just falling apart? No, I don't. I had just too many millionaires that want to make Bitcoin at least 1% of their portfolio. And I heard one of the analysts or pundits on CNBC saying the other day, very proudly, hey, I told you guys that, Bitcoin should be 1% of your portfolio. And for me, I'm pushing it up to 2 and 3%. And so you're going to see that the Bitcoin story is alive right now. And it's going to be the same thing now that people think that this news, this crypto week in Congress didn't work out. They're going to be reloading their short positions, believing that the top is in the rearview mirror, and they're likely to get snagged again. So I haven't seen anything just yet that would cause me to believe that we're not going to continue to push higher in July, August, September, October, and November. All right. But the type of thing I'd be looking out for would be any form of a weekly close beneath 100K. We shouldn't anymore go under 100K. If we do, then we just have to shift with the markets. We got to sound the alarms. You guys know I'll sound them, and we have to react accordingly. Sometimes that means to cut a loss. You got to make those decisions. They're tough, right? And, I liked hearing from Stock Brother today about his own past experience. Nobody's gone through this journey and hasn't lost money. Nobody's gone through this journey and not made the same mistakes that everybody else has made. But what I loved about Stock Brother's position is that he's still working, and this guy stuck with it and just made $52,000 in a single trade. It shows you the power of Wall Street. Now, I have to shout out one more stock since I got you guys here with me, and that's AMPX, baby. This thing continued to run. I talked about it yesterday, and it's popped up some more. It's still showing strength, and so we're still holding this bad boy. And I gave an update on RX Recursion, that it's looking fine. It's actually looking okay, but it hasn't triggered the breakout. So we're in a waiting period. For me, that means that I'm bullish, holding, waiting for that to happen, but I have to have a stop loss plan because I don't want to be the bag holder for Recursion if it decides to fall apart. But the trade's 100% active. It's just one that's requiring a little bit of patience, and there's really nothing in the charts that I don't like. I also have to quickly shout out APLD. I'm spending a lot of time on that chart, and I think it's worth the nibble. And I want to remind you guys that when I last covered it on my show, I talked about the fact that when we got under 10 in the 990 range, that was going to be the spot that I saw that it would be worth taking another long-term position. Now, this one also hasn't reversed. But, if you want to get in good entries, sometimes you have to take a chance before you get that reversal, right? But you go in smaller position size. I like APLD. It's come down. This one is part of the AI story. It's got this great relationship with NVIDIA. They're using them. They've got guaranteed revenue. And so the next couple earnings are going to be sort of very volatile, right? There's going to be opportunities for this to literally jump $10. And I think the real deep low discounts on this stock might be in the past. If the idea of getting this between $3.50 and $6 might be in the past. And so we're going to be watching for accumulation on APLD under this $10 range, and then really anything above $10.60 is going to be the trigger. So that's when this thing begins to move. It's going to clear $10.60. It's going to get up to $12, $13, and then you're not going to be able to get that dip buy anymore. So really, I'm bringing it back to your attention while it's still in a good zone where it could be bought. But I want to remind you that this is not new. When we talked about APLD, when it was way up in the stratosphere, I said it would come back here and that this is where it would be worth loading up in. So I'm simply following my own trade plan. I'm going to go through and just take a couple seconds to look at some of the questions. A lot of people congratulating, asking, should I buy now? Based on the technicals I gave you for IXHL, in my opinion, there is opportunity there, but you want to be careful with small cap. Larry Jones, who's an inspiration to Stock Brother, he always says small cap, small position size. So you've got to think through the risk very carefully. Let's see here. RXRX has gone straight down since you pumped it on YouTube by a lot. First of all, I don't pump anything. I see Zach's comment here. I like RXRX. It went up after I talked about it on YouTube. That's a fact. In addition to that, it went up significantly after I alerted in the Stocks with Josh Discord that I was buying. And so if you didn't take profits after it jumped up $1 and you didn't put stop loss in, well, you're not really following me. You're doing your own thing, which is okay. You do you. You can do you, and I'll continue to do me. It's working out so far for me. But I do like RXRX right now. That's why I'm talking about it again, is that it looks fine, and it looks like it's positioned to potentially run up to between $6 and $7 fairly easily. Stock Brother and Josh Brother, catching feelings, love it. I got a bunch of funny comments here. MYLD says, bro, happy wife equals the happy life. It's true. That's true. So I think, let's see. Jorge, my admin, says, join the Discord. Guys, I appreciate that. Okay, I have so much I'd love to go over with you guys. NVIDIA, has had potentially a true watershed moment, and it's way up there in the stars. And if you remember, within the last week, I did a video on NVIDIA, and I said that it's not time to sell, that it's positioned to go to $170 to $175, and that it wasn't falling apart, and that the next target would be that 170 to 175. Bam, we got it today with incredible news. And the term watershed in Wall Street means that it's had a fundamental change. Something has occurred which is going to allow it to move into a long-term secular trend, or in this case with NVIDIA, to continue the long-term secular trend. Well, we know what that was. CEO went to the White House and explained to Donald Trump why he needed to be able to sell to China, because if they didn't, then China was going to be able to, or be required to, or have to come up with competing technology. But that if they simply allowed NVIDIA to sell into the country, yes, they would be able to grow their tech, and we could potentially lose a little bit of dominance by allowing them to do that. But they ultimately would come up with a solution of their own, which would be a drawback, right? And so he said, let an American company lead AI for generations to come. And I've heard that the man is extremely influential and extremely good in a one-on-one scenario. And the bottom line is he went to Washington and he absolutely closed that deal and walked away with something that a lot of people didn't think he could achieve, which is that partnership with the American government, with the seat of power, that relationship that says, yeah, go ahead. Regulators aren't going to stand in your way. That's what every business wants. Don't get me started on Tesla and Elon, who's over there throwing a fit, saying he don't care about the seat of power. We won't even talk about that today. Having said that, I also predicted regarding Tesla correctly a number of times when it was flushing, went from 360 down. I said, guys, after it got to 280, 290, I said, guys, it didn't get all the way to 280, but I believe right below 290 pre-market. I said, guys, get off the bear train. This thing is not going to drop any more right now. If we go to the Tesla chart, that's exactly what's happened. We've been bouncing up. Now we're within a range, right? And we've got to give it a little bit of time. But at the moment, it keeps, once it sells down, it keeps making a higher low. I'll talk about Tesla real soon. The bottom line, and I'll just give it to you right now, I was planning this content for another video, but I'm just going to finish up this thought on NVIDIA. The fact is, NVIDIA can hit $200. I talked about it in a previous video, and it's not slowing down. This is a true breakout moment with increasing momentum, with bullish news backing it, with the nation of China opening up to it, causing that reacceleration of profit margins. All the stops have been removed. And so now the only thing that they're competing against is previous quarter's earnings. And we've got earnings ahead, and Wall Street clearly says they want a piece of it before the news of that earnings comes out. Increased forward guidance. NVIDIA can run up to $200. Now, why am I talking to you about $200 on NVIDIA? Because that's going to be the end. Okay, this thing is screaming higher, and that's going to be the end. Okay, that's going to be the psychological level that it will take a break from. And I've already identified that if we did make it up there, support has largely been formed between 160, and then beneath that, you're looking at the potential of max critical support at 130, which might not ever get hit. And it might only come down to 160 to 140. Now, I wanted to share that with you guys because I know how exciting it is to see NVIDIA burst higher. And you're thinking, man, I should take profits, and you got to do your own research and you got to make your own financial decisions. But I wanted you to be aware that the outcome of this watershed a moment in this clear secular trend for NVIDIA and the AI story is for NVIDIA to peak at that huge psychological level of 200. And if they have an incredible earnings around the corner, and if they do well, that's where this thing would go. And we saw in 2023 and 2024 how NVIDIA just kept doing the heavy lifting. Well, 2025 has been no different. It's NVIDIA and the AI story that's pushing these markets higher. Now, I've warned many times that we're going to see, we should see some form of a pullback, but the markets are climbing, and so it's worth holding the winners. I appreciate all of you guys. I thank you for watching the video. Thank you for dropping a heart in the comments, hitting the like, and hitting the subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Peace and blessings.